You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. Feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Earth Station Who podcast. That's right, folks, we are back, and we are going back to the David Tennant era. That's right, when David Tennant was showing a couple of specials wrapping up his run on Doctor Who, and this is one I was shocked when we found out that we haven't reviewed yet. It is Waters of Mars, and it is going to be a ton of wet fun to talk about. It should be interesting to do. We got a great crew to talk all about it. We have a guest with us, of course. We have Amy Solomon, formerly, what was it, Hirschman?
Yes, formerly Hirschman.
Formerly Hirschman. Welcome to Earth Station Who.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, and this was a listener choice, and this was your choice. You had given me a huge list of episodes that you wanted to talk about, and this one won out. Why is this one, special to you?
This one in particular is special to me because I happen to be friends with one of the writers of the episode, Phil Ford, the other being RTD. And I've just been friends with him for many years. I met him at Gallifrey, so it's a real standout to me.
That is awesome. When you told me, oh, if we do Waters of Mars, I have a little, personal contact with that one. And it was like, okay, that's the one we're choosing. So it's pretty awesome. And we're really happy to have you on board. And we always ask this very important question. Who is your doctor?
Oh, my doctor is David Tennant. It's 10.
Really? What about him?
Yeah. Well, he's the one that I actually got started with. The very first episode I saw was Tooth and Claw.
Oh, wow. Good one.
Yeah, so that's the first one I saw, and then from there I asked my friend, can I see another one? Is there more? And that's when we went back to Eccleston. But then when we got back onto the Tennant era, he still remained my favorite doctor, my doctor.
That is awesome. Have you ventured at all into the old series, or are you mostly a new series?
I have some. My good friend Bob Mitch used to throw Who Nights at his place every Thursday, and I have seen quite a bit of the old series, but I'm not as familiar with it as I am with the current run. Oh,
that's awesome. That is awesome. Glad because some people say, nope, I stick with the new series. I don't pay attention to that old stuff and everything.
Oh, I think it's important to go back and know your history.
No, agree completely with that. Well, welcome aboard, and we are looking forward to talking with you more.
I'm looking forward to sharing more.
Well, that's very good. We also have a couple of our regulars here, of course. Let's, of course, welcome Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And Mr. Howdy himself, Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
So we have a great one ahead of us, folks. Of course, we would love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the way to get in touch with us. Of course, we also have a wonderful Facebook group. We also have a Twitter account. And eventually we'll get around to one of those like Instagram thingies or something like that for other new media, once we get there. But, we actually had a really lot of fun talking to everyone live last time when we did Romance on the TARDIS. It was a fun episode. We had some great conversation going. And you know what? We got some opinions that I didn't even expect to get from some of you guys at home. So it's pretty darn awesome. And I'm very happy to hear that. So definitely, thank you everybody for listening. Thanks for our numbers, of course. But we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Please, feedback@earthstationwho.com. And, as we like to say always, we are up on every podcast media player you could think of with all the big boys. Earth Station Who's there with it too. And, thank you again for those wonderful numbers we got on the service where we're in the top 10% of Doctor Who podcasts. Pretty cool, guys. Thank you. Keep on doing it. I think it's pretty awesome. So definitely, check us out. Leave feedback. Leave ratings. 5 stars is the only thing that's acceptable. Anything else is, left by the master. That's what I think. So it's pretty cool like that. So anyway, Doctor Who news. The only Doctor Who news came out actually today, where they did announce that the spring special will be coming to us Easter weekend. That's right. We're going to be seeing the Sea Devils once again, and who haven't been seen in the new series yet. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And it's the second to last episode with Jodie as the Doctor. So we're going to be getting that in April. So folks, we have kind of a date yet. We don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday yet, and what time, if it's going to be on BBC America at the same time, or if it's going to be on, later the evening or a couple days after. We don't know that yet. But when we know, we will tell you, because we don't do rumors on this show. Nope. We don't do that at all. Because, there's tons of rumors going around, stuff about RTD, talk about the new Doctor, about some of the new writers they have. We don't touch on that. And you know what? David Tennant at least has come out saying, I am not the new Doctor. Okay? He has officially came out and said that. He's too busy working on too many zillion of other things. So I don't know if he even has time to do Doctor Who. But I know he will be back for the 60th anniversary special. So that's a plus. That is a plus. So, another cool thing that just happened this last weekend in Los Angeles, California, was Gallifrey. It used to be an annual tradition until the pandemic hit, and that's where I met Mary for the first time in person, and I actually met Amy for the first time in person. So it was actually very cool to, go to Gallifrey, and I will return to Gallifrey sometime. Just Southern California is just an amazing place. I miss it greatly. And you know what? Amy actually did LobbyCon. She didn't actually go into the full thing, but how was it? Was it up to, was it really crowded? Was it not? Was it down from what you were used to?
It was down from what I was used to. LobbyCon used to be a really happening, crowded place. It's a little less crowded than it used to be, but there's still people to be found in costume and milling about, and it has a different feel to it, especially because the lobby has been completely redesigned. Actually, the carpets have been changed out. That much loved carpet pattern has been changed. Yeah. And the bar has been brought out a little bit into the lobby area. But it was really nice to still be there among all the Who fans.
That's awesome.
Catch up with some old friends there in the lobby. I didn't get a ticket this year because I just wasn't sure how it was going to be, what it was going to be with COVID, and what the situation was going to be like. And I haven't actually gone to the full con since I had a kid in 2016. But I think he's ready. He's 5 years old now. He'll be 6 next year, and more than ready.
Perfect
to
age for it.
Yeah.
I started taking my son when he was 5 to Dragon Con and other smaller cons and such, and it was the perfect age to introduce him to it. So it's pretty. I think he'll love it because I see your pictures up on Facebook. Not that I'm stalking or anything, but
no, you're my friend there.
I know, but it's pretty cool because you do geek stuff with him, and it's you are the ultimate geek mom that way, and it's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, when I brought him to LobbyCon when he was about 2 years old, no, less than 2 years old, he had a sonic screwdriver with him.
Oh, awesome.
And it was so cute. He was just banging it on the floor and on the chairs. And I'd love to get a little costume for him. And this time we just met up with people in the lobby and by the pool. But it was, it's fun to see people posing for pictures. And I'm friends with people in con ops, so that's always
and they could, and the people in con ops couldn't go, Psst, Amy, come on down this hallway, we'll get you in.
I think my sense of honesty went out, and I didn't try hard enough.
Okay, all right, that's cool. So she's a nice, honest person too, folks. So that's pretty cool. But were there a lot of cosplayers that your son was able to see up in the lobby and by the pool and everything?
Yeah, funny enough, there were a couple of people dressed as Harvey Birdman, or maybe it was. Maybe it was not Harvey Birdman. I get it mixed up. Please don't get angry at me, but I get it mixed up with Hawkman, Hawk Girl.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
I don't know why they were dressed like that at Gallifrey, but that's one thing that stood out to Samson. And he also said, "Why are people wearing buckets on their heads?" Because there was a guy dressed like I don't know what, he's like a trash TARDIS or something. He had a bucket on his head that said police box, and he had kind of on like a wrap around him.
Okay.
That had like the pattern on.
Okay, at least he gets an A for originality there. So
yeah, I didn't know if he was talking about that or the Fez.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't even thought Fez. Was it what color was the Fez that he was wearing?
The Fez was the classic. The bucket was blue, and the Fez was the classic reddish maroon that the 11th Doctor wears.
Right, because I remember the Doctor in that episode had the Fez. I was like going, did he have a bucket? But I know he had a mop. So
yeah, we didn't see the mop. But.
So I'm dragging here. I'm trying to push. And see maybe that the people had and everything. But yeah, that's pretty darn cool that you got to see that. And you know what? I love that people just try with costumes, and that's one of the great things that I noticed at Gallifrey. That you had all these people, dressing up, and they didn't have to be a perfect costume. At least they were there in spirit, and that's what.
Well, yeah, I was following my friends on Facebook too, and I saw my friend CJ dressed as a Cyberman, and his girlfriend dressed as River Song. So
that's
great to see.
I follow, a bunch of people, but I noticed that Paul Cornell was there, and he posted a lot of pictures of people in costume. And yeah, there was some really, I love it because, people like to pick some of the most obscure Doctor Who characters and do the cosplay. And it's fun to see, to see the characters and go, who is that again? I think I know. And then, find out who it is and everything. Like they get pretty obscure, I think, which I love.
I remember last time we were at Gallifrey, we saw someone had dressed their little kid up as Mr. Sin from the Talons of Wei Chang.
Oh, wow.
On the 4th Doctor era. And I was like, okay, that one's a draw. That's a good one.
That's almost inappropriate.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
Oh, my son does recognize the celery on Peter Davison's coat. He does remember that. Like, as much as he doesn't remember me taking him to Gallifrey in past years, he does remember the celery, so that's fun.
Someone in particular had a large cardboard cutout of what they call, I guess, the Shulka Doctor. The one that Paul Cornell wrote, that was a BBC animated one. Mm-hmm. And they were carting that around the con. So Paul Cornell's got like a bunch of pictures of those. That was kind of funny.
That's pretty awesome. I know our friend Mark Heffernan was dressed up as Jodie's doctor.
Yes.
And the reaction to the pictures of, Yaz and the Master and a couple other folks, seeing him dressed up as Jodie was pretty interesting. So, but that's always the case when Mark dresses that way.
Yeah, man, he's always doing the photo op thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, good on him. I'm very, it's pretty
absolutely.
Awesome.
He has a blast
and everything. And some of the guests, I would have loved to have gotten a chance to meet, and so very cool.
Sort of like one of these days I want to go because it's sort of frustrating because it's sort of like, they keep it capped so low in terms of the attendance, and I don't know if it's lower than usual because of COVID now, but. It just seems like the tickets go on sale and they are gone within minutes.
Well, they were still selling tickets pretty late this year.
Oh, really?
A lot of people were. A lot of people were kind of hesitant because last time they announced it, they started selling tickets, but then they canceled too.
Yeah.
Because of COVID and the restrictions in the LA area. And is that still going on? Because we're all on the East Coast, so.
If they're still selling.
No, if
do
there's
you still have mask mandates?
like mask mandates.
Oh, the mask mandates. Yeah, I heard a rumor that they're going to start lifting it in mid-March, possibly.
Right.
But I wouldn't trust that. That's just me.
Well, smart person on that. But it's interesting because here you go out, hardly anyone's wearing a mask anymore.
I am.
So am I.
There's some really creative masks at Gallifrey. Yeah.
Oh, there's some amazing stuff, and that's why people should have a good face costume. You put your mask right into it and everything.
Oh, the Weeping Angels! I saw them. There was
a
amazing.
ton of them.
Yeah,
it looked like from some of the pictures I saw, there was just a mass of them, which kind of reminds me of that episode during the Flux of all the Weeping Angels, and I was kind of like, man, that's spooky.
Mm-hmm. Well,
sorry,
though. No, you're good. No, basically, you just have a picture of one, and they just all start coming out of the woodwork. So.
Yeah, there were ones that looked like Beaker too from the Muppets. I don't know why.
The Meeping Angels.
The Meeping Angel.
The Meeping
yeah.
Angel.
Oh, is that it?
Meeping Angels.
A Meeping Angel.
It's a meme that went around.
Yeah, I saw them at
Gotcha.
Dragon Con 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Back in
great
2019.
idea.
It was awesome. Now, Meeping Angel is awesome, and you had Dr. Honeydew as the 10th Doctor, which was even more fun. So that is awesome. So I'm glad you had a great time, and if anyone went to Gallifrey, please send us your pictures or send us links. We definitely would love to do it, and if you don't mind, we'll share them up on the Earth Station Who group too. So we definitely would love to, have people post their pictures from Gallifrey or Long Island Who and a couple other of the Doctor Who cons that are around the country. Sadly enough, Wholanta is no longer in existence.
I was going to say, sadly enough, there's fewer than there was a few years ago, but that's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's all we have to talk about with Doctor Who news. And Amy, thanks for the report. We do appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, let's take a quick break. We will be back in a moment, and we are talking about Warders of Mars.
At the 42 Cast, we want to bring you everything, and that's why we've jam-packed the next few months with as much as we can. You not only get the same reviews, topics, and interviews that you did before, you also get screen reads where we compare a movie to its source material, or role models where we talk about tabletop gaming. It's never been a more exciting time to check out our show. It's your ultimate answer to fandom, geekiness, and everything, so why not check it out? We can be found on most podcasting platforms, and we are a proud member of the ESO network.
Certain moments in time are fixed. This base on Mars, what happens here must always happen.
This is what?
It's an unknown infection and it's spreading.
Close down all water supplies. Any one of us could already be infected. We've all been drinking the same water.
And if you take that back to Earth, one drop. Just one drop.
Water is patient. Water just waits. Waves down the cliff tops, the mountains, the whole of the world. Water always wins.
Why won't you help, Doctor? If you know all of this, why can't you change it?
Because you die on Mars. You die today.
Welcome back. We are going back now to November 2009, the ancient times of the 10th Doctor era. That's right. I actually heard somebody actually reference to the 10th Doctor era as old Doctor Who. So it's like, oh man, don't do that to me.
I don't feel old enough already.
That's right. We are looking at The Warders of Mars, of course, written, of course, by Russell T. Davies and Phil Ford, and directed by Graham Harper. It was part of the specials that they did. They did technically 4 specials, but the last were a 2-parter, which we've already reviewed on the show. But this was an amazing one because the Doctor was traveling on his own, and it's rare when you see on Doctor Who that the Doctor doesn't actually have a companion with him. And it was neat to see. And I remember watching this when it was live, and it was a neat experience. And this one actually scared me. This really scared me because it was
creepy.
Oh, it's creepy as hell. Those water beings, or whatever you want to call them, zombies,
water zombies.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
And it's a good effect too. They did really well on the production values with this one.
Oh, exactly. And the transformation scenes were just, those were gruesome and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not gory or anything, but just gruesome because you knew what was
No, they were
happening to
very
these people.
suggestive. Just the fact that you got like the actor turning away, so they're not facing the camera and they're just shaking violently. It's like, man, that's really effective.
Yeah.
It's a really good effect and cheap, cheap and
exactly.
practical.
Well, it's the cheapest special effect out there. Water.
Yeah.
So
Graham Harper doing a good job as director.
Very much so. And, Amy,
he knows a
when
little
she's
something about directing, Doctor.
Exactly. But it's interesting because Amy, when she suggested this one, she let me know that she knew Phil Ford. And have you talked to him about this one, or just in general?
Actually, when I found out that you were doing this episode based on my suggestion, I reached out to him to see how he was doing, and he said he actually hasn't watched it since its first airing. Rewatched it since its first airing.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. But we did discuss it closer to the time that it first came out. And I remember we took a trip on one of his trips here to LA to come to Gallifrey. We took a trip up to the Griffith Observatory and walked around the area with all the planets. And when we came upon Mars, that's when we started talking about the waters of Mars. And I think he feels really like he was really honored to have this episode under his belt.
Well, I'm sure this was an amazing, amazing story. And I'd be curious to know, how much was his story and how much did RTD put in? Or did he just do, the fringe stuff tying into other things that were going on with Doctor Who and such?
I'll actually have to ask him that question.
It's a good thing. Next time you're on the show, and you will be back, so we definitely would love to find that out. I'm just curious.
Yeah, because he wrote a couple of episodes of Doctor Who, and of course an episode of Torchwood. But I think really he wrote most of his work for Doctor Who is with the Sarah Jane Adventures, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a lot of Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah,
and he also did the video game Doctor Who: The Adventure Games.
Oh yes.
And he wrote a book or two of the Torchwood novels.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. It's interesting with this episode because, the Doctor has a history with Mars, especially in the old series with the Ice Warriors. And so when I first...
to give them a little shout out. I think this is the first time they got a shout out in New Who.
Yes, it was. And it was interesting, too, because, like I was about to say, we hadn't seen the Ice Warriors since the second Doctor era. And so that's going at this time, that's almost 40 years. And it's just amazing, when they announced Waters of Mars, I said, it's going to be an Ice Warrior story. It's going to be an Ice Warrior story. Not one Ice Warrior. Not one. But
they were mentioned at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice they had a shout out.
Yeah, they gave him a little, because I think they were concerned about that. They might have written it and all of a sudden been like, oh, man, then we got to make sure that the fans aren't upset about no Ice Warriors. So,
well, it was interesting.
Let's mention them
because there was a scene where the Doctor was trying to talk to the young lady who was in the sick bay, and she had already turned, and he was trying to talk to her in Ancient Martian.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and she recognized it.
And and because they said she actually looked like she knew what you were saying, so it was interesting with that.
He does so well with the alien languages.
Tennant's awesome in this. And he was fantastic. As soon as he found out that he was at Bowie Base 1, he was like, I've got to go. I can't stay here. This is a fixed point in time.
And he kept saying that.
Yes.
Which is a really unique it's sort of it's sort of flipped on the way that he usually goes into things, right? He usually goes into things and there's a base under siege, because this is not a typical, but it's a base under siege like story. But because it's flipped, it seems so much more interesting. As far as instead of him going and trying to save everybody, he's trying to find excuses to not to get out of there. So he does because he knows what's happening is a fixed point and he can't do anything about it.
No,
Right.
exactly. Because it's like his arms are tied. He can't save anyone. He can't, even though there's no Time Lords, and he's technically at this point, he thinks he's the only one, that he basically is like, towards the end of it, he's like, wait a minute. I'm the only one who could do anything about this. Why can't I change anything? And you actually see a darker side of the Doctor with that.
Yeah, his sense of playing the hero really comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, not just playing the hero, playing the
God.
savior, playing God.
Playing God, playing the savior. That's a better way to put it.
Because we had seen him, obviously, with New Who, they had established. Because I don't know if fixed points were ever a thing in Classic Who. I think that's a New Who kind of creation. I think, but there are certain, we first kind of encounter that with Father's Day with Christopher Eccleston, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we see there's ramifications for if you try to change with some things in time.
You get the Reapers. You get the Reapers.
And we've not seen the Reapers since, even though we've challenged fixed points quite a few times after that.
It's a good thing they dropped the Reapers.
Yeah, the Reapers were kind of lame.
Yeah, we couldn't fear
they
the
were
Reaper.
kind of cool.
It's okay.
They were too expensive. So I guess my understanding would be then that, I don't know. See, it still doesn't make sense that the Time Lords were responsible for the Reapers, but no, there were no Time Lords during that storyline either. So I don't know. But in any case, it doesn't matter.
No, and it was interesting too. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I thought it was so interesting how he had that very serious discussion with Adelaide about how he could not change this fixed point in time. And she's asking him, can you please save us? I don't want to die. And then turns around and does what she asked, and she realizes that was a mistake.
Mm-hmm. She realizes that if she survives, then it doesn't point humanity into the direction that they needed to go.
Yeah,
right.
Even before he saves her, she understands that. I mean, she's the one who sets off the code 5 or whatever it is for the base to be destroyed, because she's like, we have to die, and that's where she makes the decision, and she pretty much holds to that.
Well, at the point there were only 3 of them left anyway.
That's still.
And she makes the decision because of his talk with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's a really nice sort of feedback loop that they put in the story.
And it was interesting, that he even knew that she had witnessed the Daleks, and, the story between that and how they showed that. And that's what drove her to the stars. And it was just really interesting how it was almost like a big circle, like you had said earlier. Everything was all tying together, and it had to go a certain way for mankind to make it to the stars because of that.
Well, it's even interesting that the Dalek itself realized that this was a fixed point.
For a Dalek not to pull the trigger, something big's got to be in the way.
Yeah. And that's why she does what she does in the end.
Yes.
Yep, and it would be interesting, he changed it just enough that she was found in her apartment. But, it was just like, at least he didn't go, oh, damn, if she killed herself, I got to take her back down to Mars and leave her body there. Or something.
Yeah. Just shove it out in space, because the base blew up, so nobody would have found it.
I mean, you kind of have to imagine there must have been a billion questions from people like, how did they get back? This kind of thing. But there's a couple things. It's kind of weird that we continually go to this internet page for the news of them, which is they sort of keep flashing to that, and I'm like, is that what it looks like in the Doctor's head? Just one big Google result?
Well, yeah, I think they were trying to show that, and that was just it was a little clumsy.
It was a little clumsy. I mean, it got the point across, and I don't know if I really noticed it the first time I saw it, because I was just like, oh yeah, that's the way we get information. But now I was looking at it going, it's kind of a weird choice.
Plus it looks dated now, which
that's true. Back then it probably didn't look as dated. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right about
it
that.
It does, but at least they took the time to write out a whole thing. Right out. It's like
put like Lorem Ipsum.
Rather than that.
Because people are pausing that and reading everything to see if they can get whatever they can out of it.
Yeah, I did that today.
And it's also really a bold move too. I mean, for a show that, even though things have changed, obviously, but I mean, this show's still pretty much targeted at all ages or families or whatever. To have one of the major characters like commit suicide at the end, that's pretty bold. Like, that would have never stood. I mean, I don't care how much Philip Hinchcliffe got away with. Like, that would not have stood back in the day.
Nope, totally understand that. But it was interesting, too, because these specials actually mark a very special occasion technology-wise, because these were the first episodes of Doctor Who that were shot in high def. So
you could freeze that frame
exactly and read it. Those episodes now have been remastered over the years, because this is 13 years ago now that this episode came out. But it was back then it was a big deal that the David Tennant specials were going to be shown in high dev. For Doctor Who was being shown in high dev before, because before that it was only shown in regular, not even. Probably 720. It wasn't even 14. The high dev resolution, and it was neat to see. And it was just like we felt like it was like a whole new revolution with my TV and everything at the time. So it was pretty cool.
And I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful that it's on HBO Max as well.
Oh, it's great that it's on HBO Max. That makes it nice and easy to be able to watch the episodes, even though I have it on Blu-ray. But it's nice to be able to just go, all right, season 3 extra. They had the specials with it, and so it's like, okay, that's cool, perfect, boom. So it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
back on the topic of him not having a companion with him for these few episodes, or for this one at least, I think it shows how he doesn't have somebody to keep him in check. And I mean, the closest we get to a companion in this episode is Adelaide Brooke herself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, very much so. And that's what I was thinking. It's like, does she count as the companion?
I would say she does, because she is the one that brings him back in a way that says, look, you can't be this. You can't do this.
Yeah. It was interesting when he decided that he was going to be, basically Time Lord Triumphant type thing. It almost felt like I got a Master vibe a little bit from it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's what happens if you start thinking that way.
And that's going to lead right into the next storyline, which involves the Master. So, I mean, that's on purpose as well.
Oh, of course. And it was interesting, at the time when we saw it, we didn't know it was going to be the Master in the next story.
We did.
Well, I didn't read spoilers back then, mister. No.
You didn't have to read spoilers.
No, I'm kidding.
At the end, it shows you what's going to happen in the next episode, and the trailer goes, "I am the Master." It's like, okay.
Well, I know, but watching the episode, we didn't know until we got to the trailer,
right,
and everything. But that's where but we got, in the episode before, he will knock 4 times, and
right. Well, yeah, that was established 3-4 stories ago, right? At the end of last season.
No, it was actually the episode before.
It was in Planet of the Dead?
Yeah, that's where they because that one woman was psychic who was on the bus.
Oh, right, that's right. Wow.
And
yeah.
I know.
It's been a while since I've seen that one too.
I know, we have to still review that one sometime. But it was just like, yeah, she was like going, "Doctor, he's coming and he will knock 4 times." And it's like,
everybody kind of held their collective breath when the water zombie, knocks 3 times and says, 3 knocks is all you're getting.
Yeah, that's pretty bold.
It was such a well done episode, and you actually cared for these characters through the story. And as each one got picked off one by one, that one young lady the Swedish lady, and it was just, I felt for
it's
her.
Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking for her. Because
watching her children as she dies.
Exactly. And it's like, because even if a drop gets on you, you're dead.
Yeah. That one guy is just like, he just, a drop hit him and he's like, I can't go any further.
Nope. That's it.
He's gone.
You have to do without me.
It was, that's, it's a pretty effective way of using, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, Doctor Who made us afraid of water.
Yeah.
I'm shocked it wasn't written by Moffat then,
I mean, this is when, they were doing all that kind of stuff. So the Flood is, I think, what they're called. But, I think regarding Adelaide, I think we can consider her companion, not only because she technically does travel with the Doctor in the TARDIS at least once, but also she fulfills the role. Like, she's the one who kind of snaps him back to reality.
Right, like Amy said. And it was interesting because, she was his reality check in a lot of ways. And, Doctor, you can't be doing this. You're not God. You can't be doing this. You might know what's coming, but you can't change it. And, you can't be controlling people's lives like this. I'm a Lord of Time. I can do any, it's like, no, you can't. And she's
sometimes victorious is wrong.
Sometimes he can, though, because he's not wrong in the sense that, like, the other two, that they're fine if they're still around. Like, that's no big deal. But she's too quote unquote
they
big.
weren't the fixed point in time. It
right,
was her.
right, exactly.
Because she realizes if I survive, my granddaughter doesn't go into space and becomes the first astronaut to go faster than light, and it's it changes everything right there. And so even if I go in hiding, I can't do it. I've got to die for this.
And also, that's what she'd worked towards her entire life was getting humans into space. That was her entire purpose for living in her own mind. And so she wasn't going to let the Doctor, change that.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene in the whole thing is when they're talking and about that. And, he's like, what drove you to space? And she says that she needed to go there. And he said, for revenge. And she said, what would be the point of that? And he just has this smile on his face, like, I love you people. I love humans. Like, I love humanity and I love you. You are like the best of humanity. And that is so awesome.
And he loves humanity, but at the same time, he says to her, I've saved a lot of little people. And that really gets under her skin.
Well, to his credit, I mean, he should have just switched the comms off, because he's listening to them slowly dying, watching them and listening to them slowly dying, and his reaction is perfectly legit. Like, I don't know, like, if you think you can do something, like, it's very difficult not to do something, right?
Right.
Now, granted, he takes it to the extreme, but I do think they do a really good job at building a case for him to do that.
His mistake, though, was taking it to that extreme.
Yes.
And asking for thanks when they got onto Earth. Well, isn't anybody going to thank me?
Right, because there was a way he could have, like, saved them and, like, taken them somewhere else so people think that they're dead. Right? Because no one's going to check the wreckage or whatever. He could have taken them to some other planet and they could have been fine and living out the rest of their lives in obscurity.
He still doesn't know, though, if that would have somehow changed the timeline. I mean, that would have been taking a big chance if he had done that.
Sure.
It would have been something that happened.
Well, it would not as big of a chance as, like, bringing her back to her house.
Right.
Well, that's why. Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of her killing herself. She's going to make absolutely sure that this happens, that she dies.
Was her family in there, just gathered for a family dinner, or was that her house was empty, waiting?
No, her house was empty.
I hope it was empty.
They actually have a little point of dialogue where it says the house has been closed up and empty.
Yeah.
And he unlocks it for her, and I think that's why they did that.
Okay, because I always wondered about that. I probably should have just, I don't know, asked Bill, but...
no, it's okay. Like that, yeah. that's pretty gruesome. For her to go in there and do that in front of her family would have been really awful.
Yeah. They make sure they mention that nobody's there.
Yeah.
No, it's just interesting. And to see, each crew member dies one by one and slowly being taken over, it's just like, it's like a true horror story. And it's just like, and the doctor had no control, because usually the doctor's the one to swoop in and save the day with everything. And he couldn't. And
I also like the way that this didn't come out of nowhere. I mean, we'd seen Tennant's doctor do things come this close before, like when he was on New Earth, and he told the sisters, you want to take it to a higher authority? There is none. It stops with me. I mean, he actually says that to her face. And then later on, of course, with the spider woman, and he just looks like the devil himself in that episode, in that story, with that first one with Donna. There are times where he does come to the brink of becoming that kind of figure. Well, but it's only the case of only having a companion, of course, that dials him back.
Well, that's what the whole thing with Turn Left was all about, because that's how the doctor died in Turn Left.
Right.
Because he didn't have Donna to bring him out of that state, and he just went full out to destroy him and flood the tunnels and everything, and he destroyed himself in the process. And so it was just like, okay, yep, he definitely needs someone to just talk him off the edge sometimes.
And I don't think they've really ever treated an incarnation of the Doctor like that, either before or since, other than maybe we've gotten some hints that Sylvester's Doctor was kind of like that.
A little bit, because Sylvester's Doctor was all goofy and everything until his second season. No, they made him truly dark towards the end of his run. And you were wondering what his motivations were at times. Was he willing to sacrifice Ace because of it? And, to get to finalize and beat the villain. And it was just, he was very manipulative. And I've talked to Andrew Cartnell about that. And he says they were, if we had another season, you would have even seen it more so, because what they were building towards with his Doctor. And I think Sylvester would have been great for that. But David pulled it off awesomely and everything.
He's brilliant.
And you saw hints of it with Matt and Peter. But you haven't seen that with Jodie's Doctor at all.
Right. And that's one of the things that I loved about Tennant and 11, is that edge, that darker edge to them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, I don't know, I've had a harder time connecting with Jodie's Doctor because she doesn't have that darker edge to her. Maybe there's just something about the story that it adds to it.
Yeah, I think we've said on this show before that it wasn't until the Flux that she seemed to get some of that. Not all the way, of course, but some of that. And I think that really made her a lot more interesting. And I was glad that she got to play that, because David we get David has so much fun with this, because there's times where he's having a blast. The Doctor is bouncing around Mars, and he's making fun of robots, and he's joking with the captain about they should have bikes on the station or whatever. I mean, all that interplay is really great. He's showing concern, he's showing admiration. And then we see sad Doctor. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We see that Doctor. And then we see angry, God mode Doctor. And he just goes from one to the other so effortlessly. He really is one of the best actors, I think, to play the role.
No, agreed.
I agree. And it's made even better by the fact that he was a big Doctor Who fan when he was a child. Just getting to play your hero like that when you grow up, I'm sure that was truly amazing for him.
Yeah, and I think because of his acting ability, the writers give him so much more. I don't know. I mean, we've seen other Doctor, and not to dismiss any of the other actors that have played the Doctor. I'm not doing that, but I mean, he just got a lot of great stuff to play with.
Oh, exactly. And we've always said, though, if Jodie had better stuff to work with, and she started getting it a little bit in Flux, but it was too little too late.
too little too
Yeah,
late.
I mean, I don't think it had anything to do with Jodie's acting ability. It was the
No, I don't think so
that,
either.
that let
No,
her down.
not at all. And, that's why we said we would have loved to have seen her with RTD. So,
Oh,
to see what
absolutely.
so it's pretty cool. So, I just think it was pretty cool seeing some very familiar faces playing some of the different crew members also. And, some folks who went on to different movies or, even someone we saw in the Eternals recently was in this movie, in this episode. So it was pretty awesome to see. And it was just a great episode to watch. Amy, thank you for recommending this one.
Oh, I love it. My pleasure.
And everything. And the way we do it on the show is we give this episode 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. How are you going to rate this one?
Well, I'm going to give it a 5, obviously. It's just got the perfect amount of adventure, tension, just emotion, and creatures. Well, zombies, basically.
It's a zombie story, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Base Under Siege, which is classic Doctor Who. This had all the different aspects of it, which is cool.
Yeah.
And you actually even had some great humor lines. I love the line, "Oh, I hate robots. I despise robots." I had a friend of mine who used to dress her personal robot as a dog. Well, dogs are okay. Robot dogs are okay. Those are different. I love that line. It was just awesome. All right, Mary, go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to give it a 5 too. This is one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes of all time. I think it is fantastic. It's one of those episodes where everything comes together: directing, writing, acting, production design. It's beautifully shot, and even the music in it is good. It's just it's a thrill ride from beginning to end. And I just want to mention Phil Ford did such a good job with the secondary characters. I mean, you really care when they start getting picked off. It is truly heartbreaking, and he does it in a very few lines, and it's masterful. So yeah, I think it definitely deserves a 5.
No, agreed. All right, Mr. Mike.
It's tough. I like this episode a lot, but when I think of my favorite great episodes of Doctor Who, this doesn't for some reason come to mind. So I'm going to give it a 4.5, and I can't really say why I'm deducting a half a point. There must be some. I haven't been able to put my finger on exactly what it is that keeps it from being a 5. So yeah, I wish I could, but I was trying to think about that since I watched it before, and I was like going, why don't I think of this one more often? There must be some reason, and I still haven't been able to put my finger on it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because it doesn't have a classic bad guy. I don't know. I tend to like those a little bit more, but everything else is there, and it's a great episode. I don't know if it's a good episode for, like, if you're introducing someone to Doctor Who. I don't know if this is the one you want to start with. Because it really works because it flips the script usually, and I think that's where it's really compelling, because it's got a flip script and because he's not trying to save everybody, or he can't, and he's confronted with that. So it's a different problem for him, but it's a good one, and it's still a classic episode.
I'm going to turn the script on you on that one, Mikey, because I think this would be a good one to introduce people to with Doctor Who. Because you don't have any past villains, really. You don't have to explain history of Doctor Who. This is just a straight-out horror story. And, where this guy, who's an explorer in space, comes to this base, which was awesome to be called Bowie Base 1,
Sure. We really have to do that. When we set up a base on Mars, we really should call it Bowie.
Needs it to be Bowie.
Do you really want to call it Bowie after we know what happens to this base in this one?
Well, yes.
Bowie Base 2.
It would be kind of sad, right?
Exactly.
We're less than 40 years off from 2059 now, so.
Oh, yeah. It's really true. Not even, we'll possibly see it in our lifetime. So maybe, possibly, could be.
I thought this episode was really relevant to what's going on with outer space exploration right now.
Exactly.
Rockets.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because my friend who works at SpaceX was like, he said, "What are you doing for your next episode?" of the Earth Station Who, and I was like, oh, we're doing Warders of Mars. Oh, I love that one. When I was in college, and he was like going off because he's a couple of years younger than me, and he was like, well, when I was in college, that's what made me want to go work for, to a company that was going to be going towards Mars and everything, and that's why he works at SpaceX now, because
that is amazing.
And it's because most likely Elon Musk is going to beat NASA to the moon and Mars. So there's a good shot at that. My rating, I'm going to give this a 5. I love the story. I think it's a great, running around the halls, back and forth. And I love the scene where, he hot rods the robot and everything. And the flames are back out of the back of it and everything. No explanation for it, but it just looked cool. So it was great. And it was Judy and I were watching this earlier tonight, and we were both like, this was great. This was really fun to watch, and that's what you want for a good episode of Doctor Who. And this was right, and it was heartbreaking because you knew David only had 2 more stories left, and it was just like, man, I don't want to hear that knocking. That's all I want to say. So it's a ton of fun, but I'm glad we got to watch this one all together and talk all about it. Amy, you survived your first episode with us.
Yay!
And hopefully we didn't scare you away, that you'll come back again sometime.
I would love to if you'll have me.
Most definitely. Most definitely. But we definitely would love to hear from folks at home. Please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. What did you guys think of this episode? It was a ton of fun. I'm sure we missed a ton of little points on it, and people are going to write us, but you didn't talk about this and this and this and this. And it's like, yeah, I know. But join us for our next episode. We are going to the 6th Doctor. And no, we're not doing Trial of the Time Lord yet, folks. Sorry. Nope.
We're not ending the podcast just yet.
Not yet. Don't get your hopes up.
Don't get your hopes up. But we are looking at Vengeance on Varos. It's
the last story that we haven't reviewed before Trial of the Time Lord.
Well, we also have all the 6 Doctors' Big Finish still to review, too. So
there you go.
But I'm talking about official ones.
I know. But let's thank everyone for being here tonight. Amy, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Is there any, do you post on social media? Do you want followers, or do you want just to remain anonymous so people don't write you and stalk you and stuff like that?
That's okay. I have an Instagram that's public. My Facebook is friends locked, but my Instagram is Amy AMY _ Merrill MERYLL. If anybody wants to follow me and see the random stuff I post.
Which is pretty awesome because she explores the geek side of Los Angeles with her son. It's pretty cool. So definitely check it out. And let's thank our regulars. Of course, Mr. Mike Gordon.
As always, it's my pleasure. And for those folks out there who are really into David Tennant, you might want to check out this week's, if you're a Patreon, you can check out this week's Rants and Raves, because Mike and I are going to be talking all about Around the World in 80 Days, featuring David Tennant, the BBC show. So sign up and listen up.
It's only $1 a month, folks. It doesn't hurt, and it helps support us. $1, almost keeps the lights on for about 20 seconds. It's pretty awesome. So we definitely would love to, have you guys support us. That's patreon.com/ESO Network. And Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Amy. This is one of my favorite episodes. It was wonderful talking about it.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I loved it. Had a great, fun time.
Oh, good.
Mary, do you want to promote your artwork real quick?
You can find me at maryogle.com, where I am just getting back into painting with acrylic painting, which I'm going to be posting on my website soon. So if anybody's interested, go check it out. You can also find me on Etsy at eVision Arts.
That is awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. And please, be safe. Hug your loved ones, as we always say. And you know what? Just have fun, and let's go travel through space further. On to more adventures with the Doctor. Until then, my name's Mike Faber. We'll see you soon. Peace, and we are done. Boom.
Woohoo!
Yay!
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talent from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.